for the good of the order, any thoughts, Kimberly or Doreen, on the overall Scranton story effort, and what else you'd like to tell people that haven't maybe heard about it before the podcast, about what to expect when they come to the exhibit, maybe, or access some of the stories,
or what it was like to be part of it, maybe. Sure. Even.
I absolutely loved it. I'm very excited about it. I really enjoyed meeting Kimberly, and when we got together with Kitty, who was the woman I really wanted her to meet, I think we had a wonderful time. We spent hours in her apartment and probably could have spent a lot more there. So it was really, really exciting. I'm very excited to see some of the other stories.
And I think what has been so great about it is that people have had the opportunity to share the parts of their story that mean a lot to them. There's no way you can encapsulate an entire life in an hour conversation. But we've focused on what we're calling kind of underrepresented stories. So it's not that we don't value every single person and every single story in there, but we have had some different elements of the community that have had a longer period of time to have their stories preserved and presented. So we're trying to kind of look at that, the stories that have been here for a long time that may not have been able to get as much airtime. So one of the folks that has been, her family immigrated here maybe 30 years ago or so. She said that, it's her and hearing about Scranton as an immigrant town, it's always been relegated, and that's what you and I were discussing in our editorial, is that idea of Scranton being an immigrant town is relegated to our history, and we're proud of our history as an immigrant town. But then when we talk about new immigration, it kind of grinds to a halt, and then we're not so sure how to feel about that. Well, that's how it's always been. People were always trying to figure out how to deal with all these new groups of people coming in. So we're really continuing to live the Scranton story by being able to present these stories of newer immigrants. But when we say newer, some of them have been here for, their grandparents, children, and grandchildren, and now they're 3 generations in, and we're still calling them new immigrants. So it was nice. One of these families came together and was talking about their story, and afterwards kind of reflected on it, saying it's been really nice to learn about some of these older immigrants that they had maybe not known about because they hadn't been as tied into the history of it. So they loved hearing about that, but they also loved the opportunity to express their immigration story as well. And then we've had, people from all different areas, and it's been really fun to let people shine from whatever area they wanted to come from, and to watch the grace with which they told their hard stories, because we went out saying we're not looking for a cheerleading story of Scranton, but we ended up with a really a portrait of grace under fire, a portrait of pride, and a portrait of resilience, even though we weren't looking for resilience, but we found it. So it's exciting to be able to allow all of these voices to come together and give you a really beautiful portrait, both on the walls, in their photographs, and in the stories that they have chosen to share with us.
Indeed, and we see, I think, especially the new immigrant stories. We think, again, as someone here sitting here who was a great grandchild of immigrants from Eastern Europe who came to Scranton, to work either in the big industry at the time, which was anthracite coal mining, or the supporting industry, which was the railroad. It's easy for someone like myself to think of that, but really, since I've been here at NeighborWorks, and we've done, particularly I would credit our West Scranton neighborhood plan effort, has just taught me so much about the continuing evolution of immigrant communities in our community. If you look back at the growth in West Scranton, and particularly in the Hispanic population, I don't have the number here right in front of me, but it's grown exponentially over the last several census cycles, and that's a new immigrant story, along with so many others that come to Scranton, whether they be Congolese, Bhutanese, other Eastern European immigrants, from my past now to the present. It's a continuing evolution that's been so great to be harnessed in the story, and it's been really fun. I'll just say, we taught